What are the 10 most valuable, important, or irreplaceable objects on Earth? What 10 things would theoretically be the hardest to get your hands on? Some things are so valuable, they're beyond the reach of even the richest among us. Because of their cultural value or their extraordinary rarity, they really are priceless, and the chances that you'll get to hold one are pretty much zero. They belong to all of us, in museums and permanently accessible to the world. Of course, technically, the most expensive stuff in the world is made in labs, like antimatter or nanotechnology, but for now we only care about things you could actually hold in your hands. So, what are the 10 most valuable, important, or irreplaceable objects in the world? Number 10. Moon rocks. The odds you'll ever get to hold a rock from the surface of the moon is exceedingly low. It's the most expensive mined material known to man, factoring the $178 billion cost of the Apollo programs. Samples of rock from the moon's crust that were brought back by Apollo astronauts are among the rarest substances on Earth, and the 842 pounds that survive are closely watched and guarded, mainly at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. NASA spent $13 million per ounce, making it the most valuable natural substance on Earth, even though they don't have any value except to science. Moon rocks retrieved from the Apollo program have never come up for auction, but they frequently disappear from storage or while on loan to universities. You can touch a sample at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., but to legitimately obtain a pristine rock sample from the surface of the moon, you'd pretty much have to go to the moon. Number 9. The Blackstone of the Kaaba. Several rocks made this list, but none are more mysterious than the Blackstone in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Revered by the world's 1.8 billion Muslims, 3 million people visit Mecca every year to circle the Blackstone of the Kaaba in the Grand Mosque. It's a religious duty for every Muslim on Earth to one day visit the Grand Mosque. A select few who visit get close enough to the eastern corner to touch the Blackstone, a relic that Muslims believe dates back to the time of Adam and Eve, when it fell from the sky as a sign from heaven. The Prophet Muhammad, founder of Islam, was said to have placed the stone, probably a meteorite, in the Kaaba in the year 605. It has since been broken into fragments, then cemented into place and polished smooth by the hands of millions of worshippers. Number 8. King Tut's Mask. A masterpiece of art and a symbol of Egypt known around the world, the Mask of King Tutankhamun is irreplaceable and in every sense of the word, priceless. Buried for 3,000 years and not discovered until 1925 by Howard Carter, the mask is made of 25 pounds of solid gold studded with precious gemstones. It served as the funerary mask of the young king in the Theban necropolis in the Valley of the Kings. Tut's mask is one of only 2 known funerary masks from this period. The rest have been stolen by tomb raiders. Now the mask is encased in bulletproof glass in a gallery deep inside the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Number 7. Starry Night. Vincent van Gogh was a genius, and his greatest masterpiece is Starry Night, a relatively small canvas that hangs on permanent display at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. It's one of the most recognized and reproduced images in the world, an icon of post-impressionism, a singularly beautiful object of art, and unlike iconic works like The Scream or Andy Warhol's Marilyn's, there's only one, Starry Night. He painted it in 1889 from the room of his window in the asylum at Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, the year before he took his own life at age 37. Only 860 or so oil paintings survive, and nearly everyone agrees this is probably his best and most important work. Few images have been more beloved and reproduced. Number 6. The Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls are the earliest surviving written texts of the Old Testament of the Holy Bible. Discovered in caves in the Middle East starting in 1946, the scrolls are a collection of Jewish religious manuscripts on parchment and copper that date to the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century of the Common Era. They were found in Qumran in what was then Palestine, near the Dead Sea, by Bedouin shepherds. The discovery was one of the most important archaeological finds of all time, and eventually nearly 15,000 fragments were found. All of the scrolls, including the famous and complete Isaiah scroll, the earliest known copy of the Book of Isaiah, are on display in the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum. They're 1,000 years older than the second oldest biblical text we know of. Number 5. The Rosetta Stone. You probably couldn't hold the Rosetta Stone in your hands, but if you had a buddy or two, You could theoretically carry it out of the highly fortified British Museum and into your man cave. The oldest created item on our list, the Rosetta Stone, is a Hellenistic stele, inscribed with decree from 196 BC on behalf of King Ptolemy in Memphis, Egypt. The first two inscriptions are in hieroglyphic scripts, and the bottom is in ancient Greek. Its discovery in 1799, the first bilingual ancient Egyptian text recovered in modern times, allowed scientists to decipher ancient Egyptian scripts for the first time. It also sparked a global interest in Egyptian history and language. The term Rosetta Stone is used to refer to a clue opening a new field of knowledge. It has been on display since 1802 at the British Museum in London, one of the most visited objects in the museum. Number 4. The British Imperial State Crown. The point of the British crown, worn by the late Queen of England on select occasions, was to project power and wealth. It's adorned with some of the rarest and most important jewels on Earth, including the iconic Second Star of Africa, a 317.4-carat diamond, and the Black Prince's ruby. The Imperial State Crown is the most famous, most photographed, most coveted, and most symbolically valuable object in the royal collection. At one point, the British crown was even considered a holy relic. Housed in the ultra-secure Tower of London as part of the British Crown Jewels, it travels with the monarch to important state functions. As an object, it represents the most powerful and longest-lasting royal lineage on Earth. The jewels alone would be worth millions, but the history and legacy make the Imperial State Crown priceless. Number 3. America's founding documents. The Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are the most important foundational texts in history, and they have led to the longest and most prosperous democracy in the world. They're also among the safest documents on Earth. Enshrined within glass cases filled with inert gases to prevent deterioration, then encased within a vault that lowers into the floor, America's Charters of Freedom, as they are called, will never leave the National Archives building in Washington, D.C., no matter what Hollywood portrays on the screen. The founding documents represent a transformative moment in human history, and even though the Constitution exists abstractly as a set of laws and rules, the paper those ideas are written on is the most valuable and important on Earth. Number 2. The Hope Diamond. The good news is, the most valuable gem on Earth is owned by the American people and displayed for the world to see. The bad news? It might be cursed. According to legend, this world-famous blue diamond was ripped from the eye socket of an Indian stone effigy. In 1666, it was purchased and renamed the French blue and later sold to Louis XIV. Stolen in 1792 from Marie Antoinette during the French Revolution, it was eventually recut, and found its way to New York gem merchant Harry Winston, who obtained the diamond in 1949, and eventually gave it to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, where it has remained on permanent display ever since. Today known as the Hope Diamond, it is a 45.52-carat masterpiece of Mother Nature, one of the largest blue diamonds on Earth, and an exceptionally rare object. Runners-up. Some things didn't make our list because they're too obscure or their authenticity is questionable, but they're priceless nonetheless. For example, the cloak of Juan Diego, known as the tilma, the most venerated object in Mexico. Enshrined in the most visited Catholic shrine in the world, the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, the tilma is a painting on cloth was said to appear miraculously after a visit by the Virgin Mary in 1531. When the British burned down the White House in 1814, Dolly Madison saved Gilbert Stuart's 1797 Lansdowne portrait from the fire, the only object from the original White House to survive to this day. The Shroud of Turin is either the burial cloth that covered the body of Jesus Christ after his crucifixion, or it is a medieval fake. Every September 19th in Naples, faithful gather to watch as a tiny vial of dried blood mysteriously liquefies. The authenticity of the blood of San Gennaro is anyone's guess, but that hasn't stopped a devout following from venerating it, believing it keeps them safe from nearby Mount Vesuvius. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Consider a paid subscription to my YouTube content for just a few bucks a month and help me continue making content. Number 1. The Mona Lisa. She's the best known, the most visited, the most written about, the most sung about, and the most parodied work of art in the world, according to Wikipedia. The most valuable thing in existence that you could conceivably get your hands on is also the most delicate and easy to damage. A symbol of the Renaissance and of the height of human achievement, Leonardo da Vinci's early 1500s masterpiece, securely housed in the Louvre since 1797, is probably the most valuable object on earth that you can hold in your hands. The portrait depicts Italian noblewoman Lisa del Giocondo. Larger than life, the painting itself is surprisingly small, only 21 inches by 30 inches. Made internationally famous in 1911 by Italian Vincenzo Peruggia when he stole the painting from the Louvre, relinquishing it 3 years later. A similar painting by da Vinci, the Salvatore Mundi, a portrait of Christ on a wood panel, recently sold at auction for more than $450 million. The Mona Lisa is 100 times more valuable and will never leave France. In 1 decade, the Louvre has made as much as $1,437,540,000 just on admission fees, largely because of one object, the little Mona Lisa. How many of these objects have you seen in real life? Very few people have seen all 10. Comment your number below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more, and keep an eye out for the next video, the top 10 strangest unsolved mysteries.